Hi, everybody. Everything's fine? You hear me? Yep. Right? OK, so thanks, everybody, for being here. And thanks to the Blender Foundation, of course, for having me here. I am Davide Pellino from Italy. And for the last decade, I've been working as 3D artist, art director, and game dev on games such as Dark, Encodia, Summertime Madness, and Always Mind. And of course, the most recently released, the reason why I'm here, Blueprints. Blueprints is, thank you. Blueprints is a very unique game, which blends roguelike and puzzle elements in a very specific way. And the story takes place in a mansion in which the layout resets every day. So it's up to the player to draft the room he wants to play with, and having very different gameplay every time. And I have been working side by side with Tony Ross, the director of the game, and the head of Dogubomb, the studio which made the game. And we released Blueprints on last April 10th, 2025, on both PC and consoles, and it was published by our partner, Raw Fury. And right now we have more than 2 million players worldwide, and we made the score Metacritic of 92, which here I wrote it's the second highest on Metacritic, but then Silksong dropped. So it depends on how much you refresh the Metacritic page. We can be the second, the third. That's fine, I guess. Anyway, we are really proud about how it's going so far. I'm sorry, I hate microphones, and I know. And so before diving deeper into how we made the art of Blueprints, I want to take a minute to say, again, thanks to the Blender Foundation for having me here. It has been a dream of mine to be on this stage and talk to you people, so I am really, really happy of being here. But I also have a confession to make, which is, you guess it, I hate public speaking. Like, I hate me, I hate all of you. This is terrible. Yeah, no, that's not laughing. And I hope to be done as soon as possible. And I admit it was a terrible idea for my therapist. He was like, you have to fight your fears, whatever. I honestly hate all of this. And what makes me feel better are numbers, charts. So I made myself a chart, which my feelings should average in the middle. I guess I'm just fine, pretty much. So let's move on. Blueprint's story starts with an email. I have no idea about who was this Tony Ross. It's one-liner, no context. I mean, let's be serious. It's a scam. And I just grabbed at this one and went into the trash, like, I have no idea. Then, guess what? In the same trash can, there were other 5 emails from Tony Ross, which was trying to write me a book like the game, he had it all, I want you to be art director, and I ignored him for a month. I just got the last email, I rushed back to him like, I'm sorry, this is crazy, with my terrible English. It was not too late, luckily. We managed to meet each other, to talk about the project, and 2 days later, we were working on the game. And so my first advice, maybe the only real one I can give you today, is not about Blender art, is more like, always check your spam folder. You never know what's in there. Your life depends on it, so do yourself a favor, do it. This is it. No, I'm joking. So, the moment we started working on the game, we had a plan, a simple plan. It was 2017. And we went for a 6-month schedule. Tony already had a prototype of the game, fully working, feature complete. He just didn't have the art for it. So we made this small team of artists, which was led by me and my 2 friends and colleagues, Attilio Di Gaeta, which is here with me, and Luca De Felice. And in 6 months, we would have reworked the assets of the game. Tony was on the code. So code, arts, 6 months, done. Game completed. And it went just like that. No. It took us 8 years to do the damn thing with a lot of random stuff, you know, in the middle. And the art alone took us 2 years, just the art. And let's see how we made that. So, of course, I can talk about the 3 pillars of creating a visual identity for a game, which are modeling, texturing, and shading. When it came about modeling, we knew from the first moment we would have a very stylized approach to Blueprints. And I cannot stress enough how references were important for us. We started visiting antique shops, libraries, in order to find those vintage books and magazines from which we snapped thousands of pictures. And I am really proud that all those pictures went straight in a Trello board, which was crazy organized, like thousands of items we needed, and each one of them had a precise description and at least a couple of references. So we knew exactly what we had to do. And this was key, because it allowed us to just stay focused on making our job and retain consistency, harmony, proportion throughout the modeling process. And it went great. And we also had to stay really focused on geometry, because when you make a game, you have to, unless you are a AAA studio, you have to consider performance as a thing. So we had to stay tight on the geometry, keep everything low poly. And it went fine. Modeling was really fine. And then the moment came to talk about texturing with Honda. And I can remember the first time we talked about how to texture the models, and it was just like this. Because I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I pay you, so you do that. And the problem was, we had over 1,000 of listed items to model, and over 100 rooms to make. The idea of texturing all the assets one by one was a terrible idea for such a small team, budget, and time we had. We were looking for something more smart, more production-friendly for a large scale we had. And we were both lucky, both Tom and I were optimization creep, like, hey, let's keep this as tight as we can. So we made something simpler, which was creating a color atlas, which is quite common map of colors. We capped that at 128 colors, and this was not about being lazy. It was actually the opposite. It was hard to lock just those few colors. And if you point at any pixel while playing blueprints, it belongs to one of those. These are all the colors we used. And it worked well to retain consistency, because it didn't matter who was working on a model, how, in which point in time, everything stayed tight and in harmony. And even from the player perspective, Blueprints is a really demanding game when you play that. So limiting the colors to a precise palette created this sort of mental map from the player perspective. And it really worked. We had those thousands of beautiful assets. But it wasn't looking like any other flat shaded game out here, like pretty standard. And we decided to take a step forward. And since both Don and I were coming from a Photoshop background when we work on layer, we were like, oh, maybe we can have more layers of texturing. And we also noted that we could handle more than one UV map. So we grabbed the second UV map on each object and made ourselves an Hatch's Atlas, we call it, which was this little weird texture with lines, sketch, handwritten stuff, more toward like blueprints, actually, like not the game, the blueprints. And we mapped each object on this atlas. It was a reverse process. The texture was pinned for all the objects we had in game. And the moment we started unwrapping them on this second UV, it started working. He gave us back this more like sketchy feeling, handwritten, and it was good. And just as in Photoshop, we overlaid the two, the color and the hatches, and we were getting closer to this look, how we imagined that. And now, I am really proud of this, but I also know that today stuff like this is quite common. Like you see people doing crazy stuff with nodes and like, I admire that, I don't get it, but I love it, but please be mindful. This is our studio. We started in 2017. This is me, actually. And let's consider that the most advanced piece of technology we had just released was Node Wrangler. This was peak technology at the time. So instead of relying on something really, tools and stuff, we just go for like, hey, we noticed that Unity can handle up to 4 UV maps. We have 2. Guess what? We made our 2 UV, which were the materials atlas, needed to mimic materials properties such as wood, cloth, metal, and the details atlas, which was meant to be more of an artistic choice with texture, patterns, and again, we used those two on the third and fourth UV map, having more of this tangible feeling to the items. And we just bring everything together, color, hatches, materials, details, and we got that look we were looking for. And we logged this in like 6 months into production, and that's the one you see in game. Visual-wise, that's good enough. This was good enough for us, but we had a technical issue with this. Of course, when you use atlases in your process, you cannot scale your UV outside the bound of the tile you're using, or will just overlap the next tile, or will look broken. And again, I see a lot of people here which are like, I know how to solve this. Again, 2017, we had no idea, none of this. But luckily, times passed, and it was actually 2018 at the time, so we were smarter. And we knew how to fix that. We made ourselves a little piece of node, which was looking like this, and sounds smart. And this one serves to wrap UV coordinates, so they always stay inside the single cell of the texture atlas. It works like a modulo. The UVs are scaled by the grid sides. The integer part is stripped with a floor. The remainder is wrapped back into 0-1 space, of course. We could just use Blender modulo node because it only works single numbers, while UVs are two-dimensional. This way, the UVs don't spill into the neighbor cells of the atlas. I guess. Whatever this means, we just build ourselves a very fancy wrapper, which was working in order to scale the texture how much we wanted. They will never go outside the tile they belong to. And it was really easy, as you can see, even with the same texture, let's say this wood, having different type, different visual with the same tile, and even moving around on other tiles was really easy to have this different look. We did this for 1,000 times, and we had a lot of stuff to bring back in Unity, and so we did. We started creating the rooms, furnishing them, lighting, and I guess 2 years later, we had something that was looking like this. Audio, please. No? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so it came out to be a crazy, long and deep game with hundreds of hours of content. And every time I like to remind myself how all of this very complex system was just visually made by 2 guys, 1 idea, 4 texture, which occupy 16 megabytes on your hard disk. That's it, for 1,000 objects. And I guess it's a weird conclusion to this speech, because we are here at the conference celebrating tool innovation, and here I am with my stick and stones. But I still like to think that sometimes it's not about learning a million ways to do one thing, but maybe try to find that one thing that works for a million people outside. And it's not easy. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you're lucky. But at least for me, it's 10 years into making, and I'm still enjoying every bit of it. So my second advice, which is less useful than check your spam folder, of course, is to just look around. We are people making animation, short movies, games. We make those crazy, beautiful projects and stuff. It's a creative process along the way. And so I guess it doesn't really matter about which tool you use, which shader, which whatever you want to go with. But it's more about just remember how beautiful what we do is, and just try to enjoy that as you go. That's it. Thank you. And I guess it's question time. So if anybody really hates me, oh, come on. Jesus Christ. The answer is no, please.
You showed already the 3D and the 3D process. Did you before that had a concept art or did a final look in 3D and then try to get there? Maybe try to repeat the question for.
Okay, the question is if we had any concept about the look we were looking for. Mostly we had references, as I showed. We had really a lot. And in Tonda early prototype, he made some sort of sketched look on its own, which was just black and white, just the Hatch's Atlas, pretty much. I came in like, oh, we can have that, but in Technicolor. It was like, oh, crazy. So we had a lot of references and an early sketch of the visual we had, and we bring everything together. But we didn't really had any concept, like in the strict sense of having concept art, no.
You made that tool that tiled it based on a section of the UVs.
Uh-huh.
Did you port that to Unity somehow?
I would like to say yes, I did that, but no, I did not. We had a technical artist which grabbed my Blender node and like, hey, I need this to work in Unity. And he just grabbed the very same thing and made the shader 1:1 in Unity. Anyone else? No? Oh, sorry.
Is it not a problem if a project takes 7.5 years longer?
Oh, geez, of course it's a problem. It's a huge problem. Half of my life went in that. No, Tonda kept, I learned a lot of stuff from the guy. Probably one of them, I was asking, hey, when we are going to release this thing? You know, it's 7 years in the making. And he was like, hey, listen, the more it takes, the more it takes. And I was like, sounds like pizza spaghetti to my brain. Like, and no, because he was like, he's a perfectionist. So every time he had the chance to sacrifice something to make the game better, he did. And me and the rest of the team, we were like, and Tonda, I know you are listening to this, so this guy, it's either stupid or he's a genius. He was the latter, maybe. But along, you're like, this guy is mad. It's never going to work. It worked, somehow. But yes, it's a problem. It's a very long time, I guess.
You said that you had like thousands of assets that you needed to texture.
Mm-hmm.
And the solution to that was to make your atlas with like the scratches and like the hatches and things. When you were like unwrapping all of those models, did you have to do like you had to unwrap every individual model, or did you create a process to speed that up?
Okay, question is about unwrapping on those crazy Archis map, like that's one for everything. I had a couple of UV unwrapped in the presentation. I had to take it off because they were awful to see. Like, it was like, you just looking from the UV, you were like, okay, this is wrong in so many ways. It was hard to learn at the beginning, because you have an object, unwrap, texture, that's fine. But matching each face on a line or a curve took us a lot of time to learn. And it was easy maybe for some items, that was natural. For some others, it was just minor cuts and subdividing faces to make it fit a specific line. First 3 months were hard to learn. And yeah, but it was an interesting process. And it saved us thousands of maps, of course.
Just to clarify, so it was like you did do each individual asset, like you didn't create any, like...
Oh, no, I did not. I just told the guys to do that for me. I was the art director. Never worked that day on this. I have no idea about all of this, so whatever. Yes, we did. We did. Took literally 2 years just to make the assets, like Blender ready, not even Unity. 2 years, with a team of 3.
Can we see
Now, go hit me in private later on. I can show you that. I should have that somewhere on my phone. Like I can show you for sure. It's not here in the presentation. For your own sanity, and you would need to bleach your eyes if you look at that. Anyone else, please?
So, considering everything that you learned during production, would you have approached the
If it works, don't fix it. So I would say no, let's keep it as it is. I'd say, you know what, we were actually really green at the time, like in terms of skill. I was working for 2 years at the time I was hired for this gig. If I had to do this now, I could retain the same workflow and do all of it in 6 months, for real this time. Or maybe 7. No, I guess it's more about getting used to something. As weird as it was, when I was hired from other studio, they were like, oh, paint me this object. And I grabbed an atlas, I was like, It was like, no, paint a texture on the object. I was like, oh, that's weird. How you do that? Substance painter, it's crazy stuff. So it's more like about how you get used to something. I'm aficionado to this right now, so I will not change for it. I will keep it as it is. Yes. You can ask together. Answer will be the same for both of you.
You had a lot of reference for your models and all of the assets, but you had a very interesting custom art style. How did you approach lighting it in the game engine? Did you find your lighting, or did you have preference for it?
A question is about lighting, the area. It was as simple as you can imagine. I have seen crazy stuff in Unity, like you have 77 point lights, 7 layer, we had one post-processing and mostly 2 or 3 lights per room. K-light, main light, rim light. That's it. We were more obsessed about performance, because we were debuting in the game, so you buy a game, it doesn't work, it's a refund, 2 minutes. So everything had to work in a reasonable manner. So everything is really simple. It's just as the book says. It's one big light, a couple of rims, and everything is real time, of course, because nothing can be baked due to the procedural nature of the game. So another reason to keep everything really, really clean. So it's just very well crafted, but there is nothing crazy about that.
How would you say that you approach the creating of the hatching texture? Is there like anything that you regret later on? Like, because if you change it, like surely it breaks like every texture in the game.
Yeah. This is the best and worst part of it. Like at one point we had to change a line on the Archie's Atlas, and you can tell every other object was fucked up. Like we broke the game. So that's bad. That's good when you have to make the same change on 1 million items. You're like, done. Again, just as I told before, is how you get used to think on something. It's bad, it's good. It really depends on what you have to do. If the question is, would you change the Atlas right now? No, because I will break the whole game in one snap of a finger, like Thanos. Boom, half of the game is gone. No. Any other question? Please.
The assets, which is also very stylized and like really hyper-realistic. So how do you manage to keep the shape language of these millions of
Yeah. Question is about consistency and shape language of the object. And I have to give the credits to Thunder Ross. He was so tight on having a vision. We discussed crazy stuff. Like we remade this chair 7 times. And we just, no good. And it was the same chair, like 7 times. It was the same. It was just, tiny bit. And again, I was like, okay, this is dumb, or it's genius. And then you see people on Reddit, have you seen that chair? It's so perfect. And I'm like, yeah. And I should, this was like very, very, Tonda took care of that. Even because we were working at the beginning in a blind way. Like we knew the game, but it was like, let's start working. Then you get how it works. We just knew we had rooms and furniture. So it was like, no, we need this one to be red like this. And I was like, yeah, it's almost like that. No, it's gonna break the internet if you change the red. So do that again. And But at the end of the day, I was like, now I see. So it was, again, why a game took 7 years? Go ask the chair, because it took 6 months just to have a chair done. But it's the most beautiful chair you can have, always. And any other one? Oh, no, thanks. Yes, please.
I'd love to play this on the Nintendo Switch.
I'd love to.
Yeah. And what I wonder is, beyond the commercial decisions, and is there any technical limitation that when designing the game you were aiming at a device and now it's
I cannot answer this question. Let's cut this. I cannot answer this question. It's more in the hands of Raw Fury, which is working on publishing and porting. And yeah, no, that's it. I'm not aware specifically, if I had to say it for myself, there is not any technical strict limitation, like I know this thing cannot work. No, it's maybe, like any other porting, it's a long operation. It's up to them. Yes, please.
How did you go about getting funding? How did you go about getting funding?
Oh, we did not. It was funding was the question. Thunder Ross quit his day job, which was in advisory and commercials, and just used his money for the game for 7 years, which is even more crazier. Yeah, no, the game was published by Raw Fury, but the production was Dogubomb, actually, which is Thunder Ross is the head of the studio. It's a self-founded game, pretty much. It's as indie as you can imagine, I guess. Anyone else? It's more question than the presentation. Now, or you are really curious, or my presentation really sucked, because yes, please.
What about the character assets? Did you also follow a similar approach for that? Extras?
Yeah, characters. That was harder, because it worked for static items, like this chair, and then character is organic, and you were like, having hatches on a character was like a job on its own, especially on the face. Like, okay, this is gonna be really small cuts and micromanagement of the face traits. But believe me or not, same for textures. You will not find, maybe you will find one. Maybe, I'm joking, no. But yeah, no, same approach. From a different angle, I'd say. Because it was not working one-to-one like, oh, working on chair, working on Simon, which is the character, no. But in the end, we twisted that to still work on that trait. Anyone else? No? Okay. Perfect. And thank you so much. Thank you.